What if the way you've been telling your life story reveals the secret to what is holding you back? Stories play an integral part in how we see not only ourselves, but the whole world. Stories are more than just an important part of communication. They also reveal hidden aspects of our inner talk, which can either support us or end up holding us back from the very things we want most in life, without us even realizing it. Join author, mindset coach, and award-winning singer-songwriter Carrie Rowan on her show, Look for the Good, every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. when she shares nuggets of wisdom from her internationally best-selling book, Tell a New Story, 5 Simple Steps to Release Your Negative Stories and Bring Joy to Your Life. Carrie's powerful stories and compelling guests will empower you to change how you look at your own life while giving you some powerful tools and tips you can use every day to help you feel better and move yourself closer to the life you've been longing to live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Look for the Good. I'm your host, Carrie Rowan, story strategist and transformational speaker. And you guys know I love talking about and sharing nuggets of wisdom about those stories that we tell each other, and more importantly, those quiet little stories that we tell ourselves. And you can join me and my special guests as we share our personal stories of strength and triumph every week here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And you can listen online on your mobile device, in your car, or ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 Radio. And tune in every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern to get real stories and tips on how to turn your story and your life around. And evolve with us as we unite humankind with universal love. Hello, everybody. I have Ayla Brown waiting in the wings. Hello, Ayla.
Hello, Carrie. How are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to have you here. And before we dive into your stories, and I can't wait to hear, you know, we love talking about stories, right, guys? That's why you tune in. It's those stories. And it's not just always the happy, good stories. Like some of the best stuff and the best conversations are about that story that I mentioned earlier, that overcomer story, right? That comeback story where we had to get over something so big. And at the time, here's the tricky part about that story. You don't always know when you're in the middle of it, right? When you're in the middle of that story, and I talk about this in my book, you can't always know the ending. So you might not even know that you're in the middle of your comeback story. And that's why as we start to do this unraveling of our stories and finding those stories that are kind of holding us back, it's super important to remember that, like, hey, you know what? This could turn out either way. And that's what I love about scripting our stories and looking for the best outcome in the moment, because that's really where the juicy stuff lies, right? And a lot of times clients will come and share with me that they've got this awful story or this bad thing that happened. And one thing I know for sure is that in the midst of that story that we think is our worst bad story, is our superpower. That is where our superpower hides. And so we're going to talk about all those things today. Ayla's got some incredible stories to share with us. Before we dive into your stories, Ayla, tell them, because where we met is I got to see you speak, right? At the
tell
chamber.
My story.
And you can tell your story. So I heard
Yeah.
the whole thing. Tell us a little bit. Tell them a little bit about you, what your background is, and they might even know you from your TV show.
Oh, my TV. I love to put it in quotes. So hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Ayla Brown, and I feel like I've had a microphone in my hand for the past 20 years in one way or another. Back when I was 17 years old, I stood in line for 18 hours in the pouring rain and tried out for a very big TV show at the time called American Idol. And I got my first golden ticket, which ended up giving me the opportunity to go through a really strenuous audition process and make it onto the show. I was a senior in high school. I had already had a basketball scholarship to Boston College before I even tried out for the show. So it was a really interesting time in my life where I was discovering who I was, discovering my next moves, challenging myself in many ways. And I went from being identified as pretty much just an athlete and a basketball player to being on the #1 show in the entire world and placing 13th overall. That was back in 2006. And Taylor Hicks won that year, to anyone who remembers 20 years ago.
I totally remember Taylor Hicks.
Loved my experience. But when I got eliminated from the show, I still played 4 years of college basketball. I got a degree in communications because I always knew after being on a show like that that I wanted to learn the skills to pay the bills. You know what I mean? So I wanted to
Yes.
learn how to work a camera, how to write a script, how to be more comfortable in crowds. And so I majored in communication, graduated with a degree, moved down to Nashville, Tennessee, started my own record label, released a bunch of albums and projects, and life, as it always is, unexpected, threw a different wrench at me. And I ended up coming back to Massachusetts, which is where I'm originally from. And I got a full-time job, a real big girl job, not just music industry stuff, as the morning show co-host and then host of the Country 102.5 morning show in Boston. So I was with them for 6 years. And now I host a national news podcast called the Flyover Podcast. And I'm a mom of 2 boys, a wife to an amazing man. And I really feel blessed, like I am living the dream in my own very unique and different way.
I love that. See, I love when you describe your own story. So many details in there that are so amazing. Well, your talk was on the pivot, right? You have pivoted so many times, and I've already learned, even from hearing you one time, I've even learned more stuff that time by what you were saying. And I love all the iterations, right, that you've been through. You've already got this BC, right, scholarship. You're going to go be this amazing basketball player because she's got the height. You can't see her. She's sitting down, but boy, she has got the height, I'll tell you. And then you get pulled into American Idol. Okay, let's share that story because that's really
Sure.
powerful. And your mom was telling some pieces of that story that were so awesome. Because you were so young. My gosh, were you 18?
Baby. I was a baby. So yeah, let me tell you about how that whole thing happened. I had always loved to sing. I never really found an outlet to do that because sports dominated my entire world, especially from the second that school was over. You go and do practice and then you have games and then you're home doing homework and you're just like, where do you fit in a singing passion here? You don't.
Right.
So I went to Noble and Greeno in Dedham, and I joined their chorus, which met during school hours. I joined the a cappella group and something called chamber singers, which met before school even started. So I tried to find these pockets of creativity that would allow me to sing.
Mm-hmm.
And I really loved it. And when I was 15 years old, I committed to Boston College on a basketball scholarship, which is unheard of. I mean, I was the youngest recruit ever in BC history to commit at such a young age. I mean, 15 years old is just wild for me to think about now that I have kids. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I did that. That's nuts. But because of that, I knew that pressure was lifted off my shoulders. I knew where I was going to school for my junior and senior year. So when I was a senior, my mom came home and she was like, I know you've heard of this show, American Idol. Do you know that they're holding auditions at Gillette Stadium? And I was like, no way. That sounds amazing. And I grew up in Rentham, literally the town next door. So I thought this would be an amazing opportunity. And weeks leading up to them coming to Gillette, there was a competition at Jordan's Furniture in Framingham where you could submit a tape and go through the Jordan's Furniture Idol audition. And the winner of that, this is going to sound crazy, but the winner of that could skip the entire line and go straight to the front at Gillette.
You're
so
kidding.
I was like, I should send a tape. So I sent in a cassette tape or something. This was 20 years ago. We didn't have the internet. There was no YouTube. So you had to physically send in an audition tape. And I got a call back and I went there. And there were 50 people who got selected. So I got in the top 50. And then from the 50, they narrowed it down to 10. And, we would all sing. And then the top 10 got to have this other bigger competition. Then they chose one person. And that person, like I said, could skip the line. I didn't make it to the top 10 at the Jordan's Furniture Idol competition. I swear on my life. So I was extremely defeated, thinking there's just no way I should even stand in a line at Gillette with 1,000 other people. Like, what's the point in this? And my mom, who has always been an incredible cheerleader and supporter, was just like, it doesn't matter. Just have fun. Like, let's just go. Let's stand in line, have fun,
Yeah.
do it. We'll say you did it. We'll have
Yeah.
memories forever. So I said, okay. But this is like such a long story, but it's okay. It's all fun. But Hurricane Katrina had just come through New Orleans, and all of that rain was coming up through the East Coast. So I stood in line for 18 hours in literally the pouring rain.
Come
Like,
on.
people were holding tarps up throughout on the line, like umbrellas. My dad came from Rentham and brought us both like completely new changes of clothes. We were changing our clothes like with towels wrapped around us because we didn't want to lose our place in line. And I finally got my moment, my 15-second moment in front of the Idol producers. Of course, it's not like Simon, Randy, and Paula, but
Of course.
you go through like 3 rounds before you even get to meet them. And so I was like, you know what? I hear so many people that are way better than me. I hear people warming up in the bathroom. I hear people harmonizing with others. Like, there's just no way I'm going to make it. But I got up and I sang Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And I don't know, the producer must have seen something in me. And I'm very grateful for that because I wasn't expecting anything. And I ended up leaving with a golden ticket, which then led to more auditions and opportunities and going to Hollywood Week and doing that whole strenuous week with other people. And then I made it on the show, top 24, then top 16 or top 24. Yeah, top 20, top 16. So I performed 3 different weeks. And then obviously the goal was to make it to the top 12, but
oh, you missed by
I didn't
one.
get there. I will tell you a funny story though, because for many years I felt like I just didn't perform well enough. And it wasn't until a few years after that that my dad was like, listen, you were great. Like, you were just everything you needed to be. But I do want to let you know that as a lawyer, he was very like involved in helping the American Idol contestants like find help with lawyers because they always offered us stuff to like look over contracts and stuff. And so he looked over the contract for the top 12, and I remember it was right before the last performance that I had, and my dad said, "Listen, I support whatever you want to do, but you have worked so hard playing basketball to get a scholarship to BC. I'm reading the fine print here, and it says that you will be signed to CAA Talent Agency. If you sign this, if you make it to the top 12, you'll be signed to an agency. NCAA rules says that you can't have an agent. You will lose your eligibility on the spot. So I can go to them and tell them the situation if you'd like and hope for the best." And I was like, yeah, please do. And the next day I got eliminated, and I was really devastated because it was the first time in my life where I felt like I had to make a real life decision and a hard decision because I wanted to do everything. I still want to do everything.
Yes.
That is the biggest strength that I have, and also can be the biggest weakness because I want to try it all. But there have been moments in my life where I realized that I can't have it all. And that was my first one just as a young teenager that kind of showed me that I really can't do music and basketball legally speaking.
Right. It was right. But for
But
such a young girl, I mean.
yeah, but I got eliminated, and I realized that I actually had a lot of freedom to record my own music and still do the same things without the American Idol legal team on me. Like, it was almost the perfect amount. I never got to the fame that I think I would have really loved in my life, but at the same time, I had the freedom, which if you probably ask 100 music artists, they would have said, "Oh, I'd trade the freedom over what I'm in now." So it's a catch-22 and a balance in life for sure.
But what a lesson. Wow. That for such a young girl, like I was saying, is like to be able to be first faced, like you said, with that big decision, that big girl decision.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a lot, right? I think about my kids and like, whoa, they have been able to make that decision. It's a really hard one. But the fame versus freedom is real because you got really the best of both worlds, didn't you? You get to play
I like to think
basketball.
so. I am now 37 and I was 17 at the time. So like I said, it was 20 years ago. And you think at the time that like your whole world is revolved around something. But I have learned that, like you're about to say, I think that the best feeling in the world is when you can kind of have this universe where everything works in tandem and together and bounces off of each other. And you can create your own special place in the world where you can make money and still love what you do and provide for your family and enjoy doing it. Like, so that's been me for 20 years. And still, I pinch myself to this day being like, I can't believe I'm still on a microphone. Like, I'm still using this as my way of paying the bills, which is,
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that.
It's a beautiful thing, and people would kill to have that opportunity, right? Like because it's way better than, as we know, being stuck in an office somewhere, right? Because we get full, there's no microphones there, and we get full creativity, which I think, like, I'm going to harp on that because it's so true. The freedom is huge. Who knows? We can't go back in time, and those are those kind of stories I love. I love talking about stories. Those shoulda, woulda, coulda stories, right? That your dad kind of brought you back into reality, like you started to do maybe it was a song choice. Maybe it was right. Our minds start playing that little game with us,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
so not true. Right.
But it can be too, like I could have been the lowest amount of votes that day, and that's okay too. It's just when you reflect back on all of the choices you make, and I always have to remember that maybe there was something being pulled behind the strings. I mean,
Yeah.
behind the scenes, strings
Yes.
being pulled behind the scenes.
Yes.
Thank you. I got
Yes.
it.
It's
So
so
yeah,
true
and
because
that's like life. You just never know.
it's so life. And that's where faith and trust comes in, right? Is trusting. And I try to teach this to my girls is like trusting that it didn't happen because that wasn't where you were meant to be. You're right here where you're meant to be now. This is your path unfolding as we go. And when we can really embrace that, like all those other stories just fade away. The woulda, shoulda, coulda. Oh, I wonder if this, or what if that, or oh, maybe if I decided this. And I love that. Just you're right in the right place at all times, right where you're supposed to be. And that sort of tampers that down, right? It sort of kind of calms that little brain of ours that wants to keep telling us something's wrong, something not right, something's going to go wrong, right? Because that's just what it does. Isn't it
Well, that's
crazy?
just anxiety. I think we all have a
Exactly.
little bit of that in
Yeah.
ourselves. But as a performer, this, that they always say once you don't get the butterflies anymore, then maybe there's something wrong there because you're supposed to feel a little bit of that fear, that anxiety, that, oh my gosh, what if? I mean, I still feel that every time I go out on stage, and I've done it thousands of times, but that means that I still love that. I still love it
Yeah.
because if I didn't, I'd be like feeling dread
Hmm.
or unhappiness or boredom or whatever the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
synonym to those things
Yes.
would be.
Yeah.
But
It's so true. But there's really very little difference between that feeling of anxiety, right? That nervousness and it feels very similar to excitement, right? It's just all how we reframe it. Like, oh, I'm excited. Or, even if it is nervous, we're nervous because we care, because my young daughter goes to open mics all the time. That girl can
mhm.
get up there. She can slay it, man. I mean,
Oh, that's great.
she has perfect pitch. Okay. I mean, I've been dragging my kids around, like I was telling you before, since they were toddlers, doing the preschool thing. So they've been dragging around with mom and her guitar case and all around the places. But she has developed perfect pitch. So, but still, I mean, she's got a lot of anxiety. She's just an anxious kid, right? And you can watch her transform. She walks up to that mic, she's nervous, but the second she touches it and gets in her element and that music starts playing through her, you just know she's in her sweet spot. Like that is what she's supposed to be doing, much like you and myself. And you just feel it. And that excitement and learning how to manage those butterflies is part of the fun.
When I was 10 years old, I was scared out of my mind to perform in front of other people. I mean, I would be down in the basement singing Annie and all of the Disney
Yeah.
princess songs. And like, I felt very protected and in my own space. But I would never do it, even in front of like extended family. My family knew I'd sing because I was doing it all the time. But like, if someone said, Ayla, sing us a song, all of a sudden that feeling, right, where your stomach clenches up and you're like, I can't do it. So my dad started taking us to this restaurant occasionally that had karaoke at night. And he would just be, oh, we're just going to go have dinner. Cool, cool. Oh, order. Hey, Ayla, look, they have karaoke tonight. Of course, he knew what he was doing because he's always been like the person who knows me the most. And so all of a sudden the DJ would be like, and next we have a 10-year-old Ayla Brown, coming up to sing. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And my dad is like, yeah, you are. Like, you are. You're getting up there. And I'm like, I can't. He's like, I'll give you $2. And I'm like, all right, here I go. Like, I've always realized that like I can be definitely motivated with prizes, like an ice cream or $2 or whatever. Like, I'm very motivated by that because I've learned that that's how I can like pay my bills and be happy and stuff. But also what it gave me at such a young age was I guess, eliminating or trying the fear at a younger age. So when I was a teenager and on American Idol, I had already kind of shed some of that with experiences similar to like getting up in front of strangers. And then I started singing the national anthem in front of people for the first time. And that was beyond scary. But now, I mean, I've sung the anthem thousands of times. And if I hadn't started at such a young age, like, who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, to all these stepping stones. And I love what you said about your dad. Let's talk about the story. We're going to break real quick, but I'm going to leave him a little teaser that we're going to talk about the story at the time that your dad learned a song, and I saw you guys played in the news together. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Ayla Brown. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Look for the Good. We're here with Ayla Brown. Your stories are so, so compelling. And I love that your dad was your biggest fan because I feel like my dad was my biggest fan. And it's just a really special thing. But what really touched my heart so deeply is when I saw you were going to sing a song and he learned guitar because he wanted to do something with you together. I mean, that is so cool. That really touched my heart. Share a little bit about that experience and what that made you feel when you saw your dad went and learned guitar.
So I will just be perfectly honest with you. When he lost the United States Senate election to Elizabeth Warren, let me just backtrack. So my father is Scott Brown. He was a former U.S. Senator and then ambassador in New Zealand and the Samoas and Cook Islands. And then he came back. He ran in Massachusetts again. He lost, and he was really, really down. Like a side of my dad that I don't think that his girls had ever really seen of him before, because he is the strongest, toughest, most energetic person that I know. And when he lost, he was sad. I mean, I'll just say it, like, if I'm being honest. And so my sister and I thought, well, let's get him something that he might enjoy or he might hate. We don't know. But we saw this patriotic flag guitar, and it was an electric guitar. And we were like, I think we have to get that for him. Like, this sounds like a great birthday gift. So I forget if it was his birthday, which is September, or Christmas, but we just gave it to him. And we're like, we hope that this makes you feel better. And,
I love that. What a sweet gift.
Yeah. Yeah. And we didn't know, because my dad was in an a cappella group in college when he went to Tufts, and he sang to my mom's belly every single day that she was pregnant. And he really is the musical side of the whatever gene that I got, I do believe came from him. So we thought the guitar thing would be fun. But if you don't know my dad, he has this part of his personality where once he falls in love with something, it's over. Like there's an obsession, a love, a commitment there. And that's what happened with the guitar. And it's only happened with a few other things in his life. Obviously, his girls, that's us and my mom. The second is racing. So he
Oh,
still does triathlons and duathlons. He
wow.
runs, bikes, lifts, and swims every single day of the week, like 7 days a week. I don't think he takes a day off. He's just
Really?
obsessed with it. He loves it. It's part of
Mm-hmm.
who he is.
Mm-hmm.
He was really bad at the guitar at first, and now he has his own band. And
Oh my gosh, he does?
where he sings, he plays,
Oh my
he
gosh.
sets up his own merchandise. He works the merch table, kind of like at the event that you saw me at the other day,
Wow.
where you just go from like the stage to, hey, I'll be over there if you want to come say hi. Like he and I are really cut from a lot of similar cloths. I will say that. And yeah, he loves it.
I
So
love it.
there have been times where he's gone up on stage with me and sang. It's usually a song that I wrote called Pride of America, which is a very patriotic, very simple song about the things that I love about our country and how it makes me proud to be an American. And he learned it, and sometimes he does get up on stage with me. But it's adorable. What can I say?
It's so cool. And I love that you discovered that about him. And now look, he's got his own band. Like,
I
what?
know. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah,
love it. He's all
I
in.
don't know what shows they have coming up, but they're called Scott Brown and the Diplomats, which is
Of course.
also adorable. Like it's just you know what he's doing? He's really honing in on his name and like his experiences to
Right?
do this. And I also love that like when people come to shows, he has a female singer as well, so he's not doing all the singing, but they sound good and they do like 60s, 70s and 80s like hits, you know what I
So
mean? Yeah.
fun. I
I
love
know.
that. He's totally
I know.
reinvented. Talk about the
He's
pivot.
talk about it. I know when I say I'm
Right?
like totally cut from similar cloths, it's like I've seen him and my mom like always pivot into doing something new and reinventing, but also very much staying true to who they are as people. So
Yeah.
it's been fun learning from the best.
Learning, I love. Okay, so now what you're doing reminds me of your mom's line of work, right? So your mom is Gail Huff, and she was a newscaster in Boston for 20 something years, right? She's
Yeah.
amazing. She's a sweetheart. And so now you're doing some newscasting. Talk about
Yeah,
that. You've married. It's like you've married their
I
superpowers into
know.
yourself.
When I was 4 or so and we grew up in Rentham, there was a one stoplight in the entire town, and I remember when they built a Dunkin' Donuts right in the center of town, and
Really?
I told my mom, because she would bring us there to, like, get a donut and hot chocolate. I was like, "Mom, can you please take a job here? Because I want you to work at this Dunkin' Donuts." And she's like, I have a job. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but this one's way cooler. And you know, because you're 4. And
Mhm.
obviously I like knew that she was on the news, but I was also very purposely sheltered from watching her on the news because when you do local field reporting, it's usually not the best stories. I mean, she's talking about 3 apartment house fires and murders and terrible weather and
Yeah.
all sorts of things that I totally understand now because of my role in the broadcast medium. And I host the Flyover Podcast, which is a national news podcast that goes out 7 days a week. And we deliver headlines in about a 15-minute podcast that talks about everything that's happening in the country mostly, but sometimes the world as well. And we do a finance section, politics, sports, science and technology, a poll question, some trivia. It's a
Wow.
very entertaining show. And I do it all from the studio that I'm in right now that you can see.
I
So
love it. In 15 minutes, you get all that done?
you
Wowza.
well, luckily I don't have to do it live. I record everything and then there's a whole editing
Hmm.
team in Spain.
In
So they're
Spain.
6 hours ahead of us. So while we're all sleeping and getting our beauty rest. Like I'll wake up in the morning and it's completely edited and published on YouTube. It's just like, whoa, the way that the world works with technology is very fascinating
Mm-hmm.
and
Sure
also very
is.
scary because there's been times where I'm like, okay, I think about this every day. Like I'll record my entire news thing and I have my teleprompter and I'm finished. It's, talking that fast and making sure everything is pronounced correctly. And then I'll like press the record button again to shut it off. And I'm like, was my microphone on? You know what I mean? You all of a
Of
sudden have
course.
this feeling. It's just technology is so frustrating, but also amazing at the same time.
Right? It's so true. And it's what makes the world work, right? Like I have a VA that is in another country. So he works on stuff while I'm sleeping. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
that's so cool. You wake up and it's done, right? Like I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I love
Me
all these
too.
pivots. And so let's talk about one thing that technology cannot bring to us, and that's creativity. And you're a super creative person, as am I. And I love talking about creativity because I feel as if creativity, and actually Martha Beck has just written a book. I don't think it's probably 6 months or so ago, that creativity is the antidote to stress. What do you think about that?
I think that before I got the job on Country 1025, I was a songwriting machine. It was the only way I could get my feelings out, feel creative. Um, and it's interesting when I started translating that into my morning radio show and telling my stories with another host, and we would say like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened with my kid today. I woke up, there was poop all over the crib. There was poop in his hair. How do children do this? And all of a sudden you're talking out loud about your frustrations or your successes or your fears. And all of a sudden it was almost like my personality became my therapy and my creativity. I hadn't
Mm.
written a song in 5 years until I just went away with my sister to the Caribbean 3 days ago. And I wrote my first two songs while I was there because I had no children, no distractions, and a peaceful mind
Mm.
where I didn't have anyone to tell my feelings to. So I reverted back to what I knew before I took this job
Yeah.
speaking for a living, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
I was very grateful for it because it definitely unlocked something in me that I hope continues. Like I want to remember to put those things as a priority in my life because I will tell you, a 24-hour day can go by so fast when you have two young children, both under 3.5 years old. It's just so much
Mm. Mm-hmm.
all at once. And
Mm-hmm.
then also having like a few professional jobs, like I'm still professionally singing. I am on a news podcast that is like doing very, very well. So there's levels of expectations here that need to be
Right.
met every single day. And then being a mother and a wife too, like those are really high demanding jobs all the
Wow.
time.
Oh, is that all you're doing? Wow.
Oh
Like,
yeah, among a few other
oh,
things, but
really? You
yeah.
couldn't fit in a few more things? Like, I don't even know how you find time to sleep. But yeah, two kids. First of all, let's just start there. Two kids under four. My kids were 16 months apart, so I get it. Two in diapers, two in cribs, two in everything that aren't twins. Kooky.
Yeah, mine are 21 months apart and
Yep.
both boys, which
Ooh, high energy.
everyone says boys have this boy energy. And let me tell you, they are so right about that. I am just like being thrown through the ringer every single day with them. And I'm like, I just hope they're alive by the time they go to bed tonight because they're trying to kill themselves and kill me. They have no boundaries of physicality. They just
Mm.
like want to hurt each other, hurt themselves, jump off of things like, "Mom, look at me." And like my son will be on like a really high ledge and he's like, "I'm going to jump." I'm like, "Do I let this I think to myself every day, do I let this happen and let him
Right?
learn mistakes or do I stop
Oh
this?"
my
I don't
gosh.
know.
Yeah.
There's no manual, no
It's no
manual.
manual.
So here I
I
am
don't,
just
yeah,
figuring it out.
It is such an adventure. And that's why I was writing kids songs at that time, right? I was writing because I was in the throe of it, and you're just trying to live it and get through the day. And like, I love that you got that vacation away with your sister and you wrote 2 new songs because that brings you like, oh, here I am. It's like we forget who we are because we're mom and someone's hanging off our shoulder and our clothes become their clothes as they spit up on them or do whatever they're doing, right? It's like we no longer have that individuality. So we need to keep doing those little things. That's why I love that you did that. You went with your sister and you wrote 2 new songs.
Yeah, I'm
I
proud of
love that.
myself for
You
all of
should
it.
be for all of it. The fact that you got away, and as you're driving away from the house, you're like, "Oh, this feels so weird. This feels so weird." Right? You're like, "Oh, should I really go?" And then you went out of the country, so that's even more
Mhm.
daring. So all of that is really good. You're showing yourself and your kids that mommy can go away and mommy can come back, and everybody's good. Hopefully, nobody has a
Everyone's
cast on, and
No.
and everybody's really good. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Ayla Brown, you guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Look for the Good. We're having an amazing conversation with Ayla Brown. I loved our talk on creativity and how you're weaving that into everything. And it really kind of brings us back to our center, back to ourselves. And as we were saying, really reduces our stress and anxiety. So, whatever that thing is, listeners, that you used to do, go back and do it. What's that thing that you love that you no longer do? Because I know Ayla's going to agree with this. You got to put it in your calendar, right? It has to be a block of time, or it's never going to happen. Right?
Ain't that
Like,
the truth? Yes. I mean, yes. And especially if you have a partner and you're married and you have kids, like you have to divide and conquer, which means that everyone needs their own me time. And it's what do you do with the me time? Sometimes I don't write songs. Sometimes I'm working on sewing and making baby bibs and stuff that I also love to do that I find really creative and fun. And sometimes I like go and get a massage. Oh my gosh, like stuff like that. And other times I'm literally just like doing computer work and getting caught up. So it all depends on, what you want in this life. And I'm not a life coach, but now that I'm 37, I feel like I've lived a lot of different paths in life, from being an athlete and having that sort of mindset to being a daughter of a senator, an ambassador, and a local news personality, which is like a whole nother thing. Then being in broadcasting. And now I have this like being a mom is this whole other avenue of experiences that I'm gaining every single day where I'm like, whoa, I used to be so different. Now I'm this way. It's just you evolve, you pivot, as I spoke about in the speech that you attended. And it's just like finding your superpowers and allowing yourself to try new things and pivot into directions that you never knew existed.
Yeah, I love that. And that's how we re-find ourselves, right? As you shift through each one of those different pivots, those different titles, it's really identity shifting, right? As you go along, your identity changes. You're always still your core self, but now you're adding all these other things. And it does shift your perspective on it, especially being a mom, really. How do you think that shifted your perspective, just the fact of raising kids?
Literally, I have questioned everything from the moment I found out I was pregnant, from the things that I put in my body to the way I talk to others to, I guess, finding importance of things like sleep and balance and other things. So, like, I don't know. I've like gotten rid of all the plastics in my house because I'm like, no microplastics. Like a couple of weeks ago, I got rid of all my polyester. I'm like, we're not wearing poly. And my husband's just like, oh my gosh, where are we going next?
Here
And I'm
she
like,
goes again.
all organic. Like I haven't dyed my hair for 6 years. I'm going gray naturally. Like, I hope you love me for me. Like, these are things that I'm like, I never would have been like this, I think, if I wasn't a parent. But when you're a parent and you realize that you're not just an example for yourself, you're an example for someone else, but you also should hopefully make decisions that are rooted in research, rooted in that gut feeling that you have. Like if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. And you just have to like tune into that a little bit more.
Mhm.
And I never did that as much growing up. But now I would say that I'm like a true protective mama bear that also wants her kids to feel very free and free spirited. So I
I
would
love
say
that.
that, yeah, I've changed in a lot of ways, and my husband like just cannot keep up with all of the changes sometimes, but he loves me for me, and he's going to have to stick with me.
I love that. And trusting your instincts for women is such a big thing, right? It's like we know, but like, and especially we live in this externally facing world where everything's outside of us, everything's vying for our attention, these phones, everything else. And
Yeah.
so when we really have all the answers that we need inside, we can stop looking outside of ourselves. And just, I love what you said about really trusting yourself and that inner voice, and that mom wisdom somehow gets honed during all that, right? So I love that. And that's all part of understanding yourself and where you're headed and where you've been and really your story, which is really what we're talking all about here. So I love the raising the kids, the shifting, the creativity is so important. And I hope, and by the way, you could be a coach in any one of those things that you mentioned. With all of those expertise that you have, you would be a very well sought after coach.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. I'll just add that to my resume, my time. So
With all
yes,
your
if
free
anyone
time.
wants to be coached, let me know. I will just make room for you in my life,
Right?
because my superpower, as you remember in my speech, I can't say no to things. Like,
Right.
do not tell me about that, because all of a sudden I'll be really thinking at night, like, could I coach? And then I'll like, it's my biggest superpower, and it can be my biggest flaw, because I can be spread a little too thin, but at the same time, it's all I know in my life. Like,
Yeah.
this is who I am, and I've gotten to 37 years in this way, and I don't think I'm going to change anytime soon, because I love the creativity and not
Yeah.
being tied down to a person, a corporation, a group. It does
Yeah.
feel very liberating. Yeah.
Back to the freedom point, right? And I get you. We're like sisters in that area, because I am the same way. Got to do it all, try it all, did the corporate, did all the things, right? Still reinventing myself. So it is never too late. As you guys know, I always say to live your best story. But I should have wore my jacket. I was thinking, Ayla, my
Oh my
denim
gosh.
jacket. I should have put that
I
on.
know. Oh my gosh. So Carrie was my first purchaser of these awesome custom designed like
Ugh,
jean jackets, where I have my own custom fabric that I got first of all, painted, designed, and printed just for me. And I was like, I'll take 5 yards of this, because I make baby bibs. But I was like, not everyone has a baby. This is kind of like a very niche market. So what else can I do with all this fabric? And so
yeah,
I started designing these jean jackets. And Carrie, you were my first purchaser of
I
the jacket,
was.
because the
Oh,
second it was my first day ever selling them, was at that event. And you
wow.
put it on, and both my mom and I, no lie, were like, oh my God, that jacket was made for you. You look stunning in it. And I'm not even kidding. And since then, I've sold a few more, and I've been making them, and like people have been asking about them. So it really is validation, where like your crazy, kooky ideas can hopefully lead into something that's, makes other people happy. So I,
Totally.
I just
Yeah.
appreciate your support. And yeah, if you do come to my show, which I have a lot of shows coming up, one of them is in Auburn on April 24th at Halligan's, but I also have a show with my husband where we do our storyteller music show, which is so
Ooh.
fun. That's up in Portsmouth. But if you go to aylabrown.com, I'm like constantly working on booking shows, and then I'll put them up there once, all the contracts are signed and all that stuff. But I really hope that people come to the shows, because I will say that I definitely lost myself professionally from a musical standpoint for the past 3 or so years, ever since becoming a mom. I thought I could do it all, and I just can't do it as much. But now that my youngest is getting older, he's about to be 2, I do feel extra inspired and ready to like get back out there. And I can't do it though without people coming to my shows and supporting what I do. So it would just mean the world if you are listening right now and you're looking for ways to support. Either listen to my music on Spotify or YouTube, Apple Music, anywhere streaming. Come to a show if you are local in the Massachusetts or New England area. There's a lot that's being released and announced. And when you do come, support by buying something at the merchandise table, because
Yeah.
those purchases can really go a long way, because sometimes venues might not pay the most to have you there. But if you think, well, I'm going to set up my merch table and make some more money there, it really does help like get the word out there, keep the beast fed, which, and the beast, I
Beast
mean
fed.
like the music passion, right?
Yeah,
Because so many times,
totally.
as you
Yes.
know, you probably think, okay, this is my last year doing it. I can't do this anymore. And then the year happens and you're like, I'm going to just book some more shows.
Yeah.
I have
You can't
gone
help
through
it.
that
Yeah.
so many times, but at the end
So
of the
many.
day, like I still have this musical instrument in my voice that is not ready to shut up yet. So people are stuck with me. So come to a show,
Yeah.
aylabrown.com, go to the tour section. And obviously you can support by watching the Flyover podcast every morning. It gets released at 6 a.m. But if you are into the news and a quick 15-minute some summary of what's going on, it's non-editorial. I'm not giving my opinions. I'm not an opinionated news person. I'm literally just getting you caught up to speed on what's happening in the universe. So
Love
you
it.
can find us at the Flyover Podcast on all podcast apps. But if you want to watch this cute little face, you can watch it on, I think it's just YouTube only. It's not like Apple or Spotify. So
Okay.
yeah.
YouTube only. I love that. And
Yeah.
okay, first of all, I love Portsmouth. I saw Sean Colvin at that cool church there one time, a long time ago. So tell
Oh
me,
yeah.
what is the storyteller series that you do with your husband? I want to hear about that because you didn't mention, but your husband's also a country star too.
Yeah. So my husband, his name is Rob Bellamy, and he and I met in Nashville at a singer-songwriter round. And we just were like, cool, we're both from Massachusetts. Let's write a song together. And we wrote our first song in maybe 45 minutes. It was so
Wow.
good and so natural, where we're like, we should write another one. And it was just, we were friends writing songs. And then all of a sudden the friendship turned into more. And we're obviously married with 2 kids now. But during the pandemic, we created this very special, intimate listening room style show where we talk about individually our journeys in music. Like I start out singing a song from Beauty and the Beast. Like that's the intro song.
Love
And then
it.
I tell people how I thought I wanted to be a Disney princess, and I tell them about my journey and whatever. And at the same time, Rob is telling his journey through music, and it's vastly different than mine. But then at this point in Nashville, we meet each other for the first time, and it goes from our individual journeys to our love story. And we weave in all of these moments and songs and original stuff that we have written together and separately. It is such a special show, and we don't
Mm.
do it as much as I would love to do it. But every time we do, I just very much enjoy it. So
I
that's in
love
Portsmouth
that.
at the
Yes.
Music Hall Lounge
The Music
on
Hall Lounge.
May 16th. Yes.
I'm going to that. That
Oh,
is
you should. You would,
so
as a
up my
storyteller,
style.
you would love it. And I have some other like venues that I'm working with right now where I'm just gonna try and like do my own solo storytelling show and like really
Yeah.
hone in on that, because I have a lot of stuff to say and a lot of songs like you do to weave in your experiences. And I think people leave those shows with a much deeper understanding of like why you do or why we
Mm.
do what we do and who we are. And um, I think without the storytelling, I actually just feel like I'm going through the motions. I don't like that. I don't like just
Yeah.
singing like cover songs and being up on stage and like not talking. I love the communication with the crowd, and that's where I thrive the most.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And what you're also doing, which is equally as important, is you are inspiring other people to not only tell their stories, but you're inspiring them to remember who they are and that they do have something valuable in their stories and that they can share their voice in whatever way that looks like for them. But you're inspiring everybody through the storytelling, weaving it with the music. I so want to see that show. So if you guys want to come and say hi to
Oh,
me and Ayla in person, be there in Portsmouth. Portsmouth is a magical little town up there too. Super cultural. Love it. Really fun. So
Thank
anyway,
you.
Ayla, this has been amazing. I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And you have a magical way of looking for the goodness in life and sharing all of your pivots with us today. It's been a beautiful time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carrie. Bye.
Bye. Remember, everybody, go to aylabrown.com and come and see us at one of the shows. And I'm going to say it again. It's never too late to live your best story. Be well.
Thanks for tuning in to Look for the Good with your host, Carrie Rowan, best-selling author and mindset coach. Join us every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. right here at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. If you weren't able to catch an episode, no worries. Just visit our website to find all the archived episodes of Look for the Good on demand so you don't miss a thing. And remember, it's never too late to live your best story. For additional resources or to find out about how you can work with Carrie directly, visit carrierowan.com for more details.